Hey everybody, it's Ricky from All Sorts of Words, and I have words. Would you like to hear them? I have friends who they might have words, maybe. But we're going to talk about comic books, and we were just having a really fun conversation backstage that I want to continue in some capacity. But okay, so comics are expensive and they're fun, and we're all having different reactions to the intersection, the cleavage, if you will, between fun and expensive. So my brief story today, and then I want to pass the mic, is so my wife comes in today and she loves Sorel. Sorel is a shoe. It's a bougie shoe for bougie people. That it looks like a sneaker, but it's waterproof. And she bought me a pair, and I'm a believer now. They're awesome. And so she's had one pair for 5 years, and that's what she uses to sell everybody on this shoe. I've had them for 5 years. Aren't they great? And then after this most recent storm we had in Maine, she felt the leakage in the boot, the wet boot symptom. And so she comes into my room and she goes, "Sweetie, I need you to convince me that it's okay for me to spend $100 on myself to buy a new pair of shoes when the old ones are kind of okay still." And I was like, "Hey, you want to see that shelf back there, sweetheart? The one where I put up 3 comic books? That's $6,000. Mm-hmm. And she goes, "Thank you." And she leaves and she bought the damn shoes. And so like it is an absurd amount of money that we surround ourselves with in this hobby and what we invest our money in. And so like I want to start over here. So Mr. Aiken, what is your immediate reaction and feeling to the relationship between comics and money?
Oh my goodness. I don't comics and money. I think you got to have priorities. You got to make sure that you are not taking away from your family, not taking away. This is what my wife always says: pay your bills first, and then whatever you got left over, that's what you can spend on whatever you want to do, whatever your hobbies are. So I'm sure we all have expensive hobbies, and this is another expensive hobby. If you ask somebody that plays golf is an expensive hobby. If you ever had to buy clubs, that's an expensive hobby. Fishing is an expensive hobby. Hunting can be an expensive hobby.
Yep.
Comic book collecting can be an expensive hobby. So it's as long as you're using the money after you've paid all your bills, then it's your money. You can do whatever you want to with it. And that's how I feel about it. That's what I'm doing. I'm like, this whole month, because I'm going to take a trip in August, I'm like, I'm on a comic book sabbatical. I'm not buying anything this month, and we'll see at the end of the month if we've budgeted out like we're supposed to, so that I can pay for these things that I've already, quote unquote, put on a credit card. We got to pay that credit card off at the end of the month. So peanut butter jelly sandwiches. Hey, we're not going out to eat tonight. Seems like our biggest expenditure is really food, because for me, that's another hobby. I love food. So the other thing I can do then is cook. I say, hey, we'll buy food and we'll cook it here instead of going out to eat. That would be less expensive. So again, my initial reaction is, as long as you're paying your bills, you got this extra money, only spend this extra money on this hobby, whatever that hobby may be. Because you do have to have some joy in life. If it brings you joy, hey.
Mike, do you ever get like reactions from family that maybe they have an idea that you have this hobby, and then something slips or something comes out, and then they look at you like you've got 3 heads?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of them watch the videos. So same thing. Like I am in general, me and my wife, very frugal. Like I said, lunch money comics. I grew up really poor. Nothing that you see back here comes out of like house funds. This is all stuff that I have a separate account, comics I sell, antiques I find and sell. And yes, I do make some money off YouTube. That's what feeds all this. I would never dream of spending a dime from like the house account. It's just the way I'm wired. I would never do it. But my family, my extended family, doesn't necessarily know that. And every once in a while, when they see what's down there, or they watch a video, God forbid, and they'd be like, you spent, even if it's like $100, you spent $100 on a comic book. I'm like, that's nothing. $100 on a comic book is breathing now. And by usually explain it just like how I did to you guys. I'm like, no, it's part of the YouTube thing. This is what I do, is money in, money out kind of deal. And that kind of like softens it all over. But yeah, to someone else, like this is a bizarre thing. This is all collectibles. I mean, I'm sure we've seen what other people collect. I try to never judge people on what they collect. People like what they like, and that's just it. But sometimes people collect things and you're like sneakers. Like I don't understand sneakers. I don't. My brother-in-law loves sneakers. He has incredibly expensive sneakers. And I'm like, those are cool. I'm happy you're happy. Can't even wrap my mind around it. So like everyone has their vice. The thing, as Mr. Aikens just so eloquently put, that, makes you happy. That's fine. But it's totally understandable where other people might not understand that because we have different things that make us happy. So, I've had to kind of explain it, but usually I get a little bit of latitude. People understand where I'm coming from.
Brandon, do you have family that think you're crazy?
No, not a lot of family coming to my house. My mom, they just don't. They just like, it's winter time. We're kind of bunkered down. Like, this isn't a side office. So like our entertaining area is out there. We have like a big open floor plan. The kitchen overlooks the living room, overlooks the dining room. So that's where we hang out. My friends that will come over, or my family, like I'll show a couple of them. I'll be like, hey, this is the first time Black Panther appeared in comics. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. It's funny. My mom, even though she's had a stroke and has expressive aphasia and is hard to communicate, she loves looking at them because she tells me her brothers had like first Spider-Man, first Fantastic. She's like, they had all of them. And her mother chucked them all. The classic story, but like she sees the trade dress. She knows, and so that's my family. And then I'm with, in the same vein as Mr. Aikens and Mike is that, bills get paid. Like I was very lucky. I just liquidated my entire Magic collection like you, Ricky. Same. I just said, these aren't bringing me joy anymore. They're sitting in a closet. I barely get to play. I didn't like the company. So I had about $7,000 worth of Magic cards that just got turned into comics. And then along the way, it's selling other collectibles that I didn't really need anymore, or some comics on, like, I think a lot of us will post some stuff on eBay just to generate some funds. And and it's just that it stays separated from, everything else, mortgage, cell phone bill, insurance. It's just, never ending.
So I'm only able to do what I do and get what I get as often as I get because I have a whole ass part-time job. And look, I'm in no way looking for sympathy, nor am I trying to like big up myself, but so I work a full-time job that is 100% remote. My wife is also 100% remote, working for the same company. It is fantastic, and it's not like a gloat. It's just that when you work from home, you have time during the day that isn't dedicated to your primary job. So that's where I do things like I work for the same college, and I teach. I teach humanities at the college level, and so that's my part-time job. And so she does the same thing. We're mirror images professionally. So the whole deal is that like whatever you get with your part-time money, that's the bills are taken care of, but that money's yours. And so I teach a class, and if it's a significant amount of money, good Lord, I'm dropping $4,000 on a comic all of a sudden. They get really expensive though.
I wish I could have a side hustle right now. I have 2 young kids. If I could bartend,
that's your hustle.
Yeah, if I could, Ricky called earlier to show me. He's like, I got the new Smurfs, and my kids were losing their minds. And he's like, go, Dad.
He's like, great, yeah, that's really awesome. Awesome comic book, Ricky. Bye.
I was in the trenches, fellas, the trenches. And but no, I shoot, I forgot what did you interrupt me with?
You were
my kids. Yeah, if I could bartend, like, because I used to bartend for 15 years. If I could, like, I know plenty of people that they'd be happy to have me in for like a couple nights a week. So maybe that's in my future that will help, at that point. But I'm envious of you.
I mean, it's the only reason this happens. It's the only reason, because like I watch the YouTubers all the time, and I'm like, how on earth did you just buy like the first appearance of Wonder Woman? Like the story of the story of how that happens is more interesting to me than like, the circumstances that create the environment where you can just say like, hey guys, this week, super excited to announce on a whim, Spider-Man #1. And I'm like, go to hell. But I want to know how you did that. And so like, I'm trying to like pull the veil back a little bit and be like, homie, I have a full ass part-time job that I work. What is it? I work 4 terms a year. I teach 4 classes a year. And each one is 2 months, 8 months a year. 8 months a year, I'm working full-time and part-time. That's how I show you, like, here's a $600 book. That's how.
Right.
Well, see, I did the same thing over the summer. I was like, I'm going to get a summertime job. I'm going to spend all this money on comics. And then a hurricane hits and we have to spend that $4,000 on something else that ended up not wanting to spend it on. So that always seems to happen with me and that's one reason I really haven't been making as much content here lately. It's because I'm taking a class so that I can get paid more money. And I'm like, this extra money now will go toward getting more comics and other hobbies. I mean, all our hobbies, like Ricky, sneakers are expensive. Those sneakers are expensive. My other hobby is, besides eating, is traveling. We love to travel, and that's an expensive hobby. And we always save up and go, hey, we're going to put this money aside, and then
I can't let let you leave Alabama. Sorry, I just had to say that. Keep going.
Well, you should hear our foreign exchange student, one of our first foreign exchange student. He was on the train in Germany. Here are two people talking behind him, and they were talking about, well, I don't know whether or not to get off on the next. And he turned around and, perfect English, he says, hey, well, I can help you where you get. And they ended up saying, wow, you really speak English very well. Where did you learn to speak English? And he said it just like this: in Alabama.
Nice.
That's where I learned to speak English, in Alabama. They looked at him like, what?
Got to do it. Yeah.
Oh, is it Colossus Collector or is it Colossus Collector's wallet? Speaking of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
I kind of have the side hustles too. Like, so the, I do get, for all the buying and selling, I don't talk about much on my channel, but I do sell a lot of comic books and feed the hobby. But I'm also a part-time musician. I don't talk about that ever.
Trumpet? Were you trumpet?
I'm a paid musician. So that's on the weekend gigs. So, but even then, unless it's comic money, I still don't like spending it. So like all music stuff goes into like savings. Like for my wife, she's like, nope, that's something else from comics. You can't take that. I'm like, okay. So I totally get it. But like the side job is a good idea. Honestly, I think it's a pretty good thing, right? Some people I know who are other comic YouTubers, who comes, Joe from 360 Comics comes to mind. He's actually like a CPA, like an accountant, but he's on his side. His side hustle is he buys and sells collections. I have friends around this area that do the same thing, that are construction workers that get laid off in the winter, and they just do comic books as their thing, and it feeds the hobby. That I think is the ultimate side job. Obviously, that's what we all kind of aspire to if you can swing it. But I've always said this, guys. It's really hard to make money doing that. I've always said this. You'd make more money just working as a greeter at Walmart consistently than you would people, hem and haw over like making 20 or 30 bucks on a book. They spend hours, buying and trying all the travels. Like you could have just worked at McDonald's, man. You would have made more money.
But Mike, do you think those people are like also thrilled by the fact they might find some books to keep in there themselves and then sell the rest? I can still make 20% and keep these 2 books. Like that's
more fun. Trust me, I'd much rather do that than be a greeter at Walmart. But yeah, I mean, I figure out like for like all the comics money I make or YouTube stuff, I pay myself a penny an hour. I mean, I put so much time and effort into it, but I enjoy it. So you know what I mean. So that's why I do it, not for money, but. Yeah, I'm always envious of people that actually can make money off it. I'm very impressed.
See, the issue that I have with this is, so I'm a whore, and I want to own all of it. And when I get it, I don't want to let it go. So here's the thing: I'm a universe collector. I am so like when I see the people behind me with like, or behind me, Christ, when I see people on their wall behind them, and it's like, DC, Indie, Marvel, DC, Indie, Marvel, Dark Horse. I'm like, that must drive you kind of insane that you're not able to have like a Marvel wall, a DC wall. So I only read like Indie and DC. So my superhero stuff, like I love turning a splash page during an event and having like the bullet caught in midair by like all the characters that I know and that I own. Like the characters that I own, you get that special connection. So like anytime a DC event comes out, people are like, oh, this is trash. I don't read DC anymore. I'm like, homie, this is exciting. I'm like, oh, Huntress. Oh, there's the question. Right. And you feel that connection to them. And so like, I don't want to get books to trade books because like, then I don't have Huntress anymore.
That's exactly it. And that's why I like those trading cards I talk about. Cause like I play a game with my son. We'll open up a series and we'll like, got it, first appearance, got it. That's cool. You know what I mean? Like you can go through, you feel like you have a little bit of ownership of that character. And you're right. With those big crossover events, each one, even if someone's in it for just a cameo on the splash page, you feel a connection. And I'm always wondering, people who don't like only read one title, that must mean nothing to them, right? If you only read Spider-Man and then you see like the Avengers come in, are you kind of like, oh, This is the B team. Like, is that how you think of it? Because like for me, it's like this is nuts. Like it's amazing for me. I always wonder.
Side hustle, Ricky, since you're a whore, prostitution, maybe?
Oh my God. You know, do what you love and you never work a day in your life. You just threw off my entire
Dan's
brain.
door is open. We got to stop.
Dan,
Now we can go back.
Dan, so like we were talking, what is your perspective and relationship with money in comics? Like, what do you feel when I say that?
Oh, I mean, you opened up a can of worms. Where do we start? Because I don't have a lot of money for me. You know, like when I compare my books to everyone else, which I always do, I don't have a great collection in comparison to the people that I see all the time. Okay,
that's
relationship
qualified,
with money.
Dan. You got to qualify that statement a little bit.
How's that?
You're talking diversity, like Ricky was saying. No, but I'm an X-Men collector, and your X-Men collection puts mine to shame.
Okay, so that's the angle that I have to take. You're right. I have to take that angle. And so I put all my resources into X-Men so that I can have a one-up on somebody else if it's a competition, right? I don't want it to be a competition, but there's like, you know, we can't help. I mean, I'll just speak for myself. I can't help but compare myself to other people. So I need to try to figure out a way that I can have something that impresses somebody or impresses myself, right? Because I'm looking at everybody else's collection. I think, okay, well, what do I really want? And I don't have the money to buy. And I'm sure, like, you know, like, oh, and I'm spoiled too. So I like higher grade comics. So for example, I could collect like Brandon or Colossus, and I love all those characters. And you too, Mike, like you have like a really diverse collection. And I like all those characters, but I love the X-Men. And I knew that if I put my resources into lower grade Silver Age comics, I wouldn't be able to afford the comics that I really want. And there's still a lot of X-Men comics that I want in higher grade, and I wouldn't be able to afford those if I went after really anything else.
So your philosophy is kind of like laser focus on a particular team so that you can make your representation of that team the literal best, but you're not going to have a Hulk #1.
Correct. Yeah. Like it's, I have to be laser focused because I'm so all over the place with ADHD that I cannot, I couldn't just shoot, you know, blind all day. I have to set goals or like set parameters, blinders for myself.
Wow, okay.
So to me, Dan, to be honest, I think a lot of people just kind of go every which way. They buy whatever they think looks good at the time, and there's no focus to the collection. And being a collector of other things, there is something to be said about having a curated collection or subsets. And I think it's wisdom. I don't think that's. I think you're collecting the way you're supposed to. I think a lot of people go off the rails and start getting confused of what they're actually trying to do. There needs to be a story in the collection as a whole. And I think you have that better than anyone I know. So no, I'm very envious that you can do that.
That's really comforting to hear because I felt completely flustered when I was asked about my collection. I feel, I feel like lost a lot of times.
Huh.
Yeah, even though I am proud of the goal that I have, and it's pretty simple, but I always feel like I'm not good enough. It's not good enough. You know, every time I get a new great book, I just got an upgrade today of got to show the doubles, right? Just got the a new upgrade here of X-Men 104 because I have a new goal now. I want everything the Claremont run in very fine or better from 94 and on, and I'm missing about 17 or so issues to make that. So even though I got that, I'm like, this is great. And then I put it away and the satisfaction is completely gone now. But I think that that's something that we all kind of feel, right? A lot of times.
No, I'm an evolved being. When I, no, so I was thinking when you were saying that, like when I tell people that I have the first Superman's dog, they don't care. Like that stuff doesn't impress people. But so I never get to show it because it's impossible to show it. But I have every DC comic from 2006 to 2016. And so like all of it, and it's all in order because I'm an absolute loser, and I made all the different runs stacks in my room, right? So like Superman, Wonder Woman, what was it, Frankenstein, and the Agents of Shade, like everything. And then I went to comic book reading order, and I looked at the entirety of the DC universe, and I went through issue by issue, and I filled it in boxes, thinking that would be fun to read. It's not, but I did it. And so like that seems to impress people more than the individual, like, you know, that Cajun guy from the cartoon show of the X-Men. Yeah, I got his first appearance. Like, I don't know. It's not as impressive sometimes. What do you find? Going back to Mr. Aiken, what's the most recent memory you have of saying, I have this, and someone was like, oh.
Well, it's funny. We had the bug exterminator guy come in. And so he walked down to my room and he's like, "Oh, you like comics, huh?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I love them X-Men movies." I said, "I like them too." And so that was the first, you know, but individual issues, it wasn't, you know, it's like, "Ooh, I like the movies." It was more about the movies for him. And he really didn't want to see any X-Men stuff I may have had. He then wanted to talk about the movies. The only thing that he saw in my room that he liked, I've got a picture of a signed picture of Hugh Jackman over here as Wolverine. And he was really focused more on that because that related to the movies. So that was my most recent experience of somebody coming down here and going, "Whoa, you like comics, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do."
That must have felt pretty cool.
Brandon, when's the last time? Brandon, when's the last time you got someone like in your room or passing by, or they heard that you had a comic and they were impressed by it?
Oh, you guys are my only friends.
I know.
My best friend Dan, like the guy that grew up 2 houses down from me, who, you know, we wound up living in the same town. He's got kids. He came in here one day and he's like, "Well done, my friend." You know, he gets it. He collected comics as a kid. He still has like he has like an ASM 252, some other ones I want to get pressed and cleaned and graded for him just to protect him. And I actually gave him a piece of original. He's into it too, a piece of Daredevil art that I got years ago at a comic store for cheap. And I went over to his new house that he just bought, and it was hanging there. I was like, nice. So yeah, my best friend that just happened to be over visiting.
Dan, has anybody ever said good?
No. In fact, I have no way of displaying comics. My wife got me these little sticky tack things. I'm practicing with the Spider-Man comics in case they fall. I wanted to leave them up there for like 48 hours. Then I'll swap in the X-Men that I want to put up there. But I have 6. I just posted those today up there, so we'll see if they hang. But so that I could, you know, have something to show to you guys, I guess. No, nobody. That's why I started an Instagram account, so that I could meet you guys and we could, you know, commiserate over our spending and enjoy our collections together.
Mike, has anyone?
That's tough because, like, again, my family knows what it means to me and stuff. Like, my sisters will be like, "Oh, that's neat that you have them," you know, and they'll look. But luckily, through YouTube and meeting all these people, like, I've met a lot of local people who are into comic books, so it's easy to impress them because they collect comic books. But like, "Oh, it's a great book," you know, like that doesn't really count. I would say that rare Archie I had, one of my friends, you know, a couple of them, they just were blown away by how rare it was. But the closest thing I think I can approximate to the question you were asking, Ricky, had nothing to do with comic books. In that room over there, which I never show anybody, is my other collections. And actually, this relates to Brandon a little bit. I have a friend who's a local comic book creator named Ben Tawes, and I had him make something for Brandon for Christmas. And all he wanted for payment for that was his friend recently got over it. Like, I had a bad breakup, and he's bringing it up for like a day on the town with the guys, you know, just doing like guy things. And his friend's a geologist. And I have a huge rock and mineral collection and fossil collection. So he's like, "My payment is I'm going to bring my buddy over and you got to show him all your fossils." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine."
I've done that anyway.
Never talked to anyone about fossils or rocks. You know, he came over and we went through the whole thing, you know, like, and he was impressed. And that felt great because it's a stranger, right? It's not someone you expect. It's not someone like it was just someone out of the blue I didn't have in my life. I'm talking with someone. Like, I never talk about fossils unless I'm showing it to like Cub Scouts or something, right? So that was pretty special. And it was kind of cool, like, to validate that collection. So that was kind of cool. That's the closest, I think, approximation.
Okay, so my most recent is actually today, because people, the superhero stuff, they know, and they're not necessarily impressed. Like, they know that the movies exist, and so I think in some people's minds, because of the support that Disney has given these brands and these characters, they actually think that these comics are really, they think they're really common. Well, I mean, because it's a huge franchise. Well, yeah, but it was like 60 years ago that it was first made, and so they don't think about that stuff. But so for edification, the gentlemen in here know what this is. This is
awesome.
This is a Belgium comic book, and this is actually the back. It's like a newspaper almost, and this is Spirou number 1071, and this is significance from 1958. This is significant because it contains the first images of the Smurfs, those little blue balls, the Smurfs. And so a lot of people think, like, Scooby-Doo, his first appearance in comics is not his first appearance. His first appearance is the TV show. The comic book is his first comic appearance. The Addams Family, the first appearance was the TV show. This is the first appearance of the Smurfs. They didn't exist anywhere else before this. And so, like, everyone knows what the Smurfs are. And so I've been, like, talking to, like, family and stuff, and they're like, okay, that's actually pretty cool.
It's wicked cool. Yeah, I was telling someone about that, Ricky, recently, about you having that. And my friend, a comic friend, he said there's actually two different ones. There's a French one, the Belgian one, and there's a German one.
So the Belgian one is in German. And then I remember seeing it on Key Collector. It said, like, it released at the same time as this other one in this other language, but this matches the language of the author.
Gotcha.
So I think that's kind of how they justify, like, what's the difference between a Marvel book printed on the same day with a Pence sticker as opposed to the one in New York sold by Stan Lee. Same language and everything, but, like, what's the American one? Right. So I think that's why this one gets the edge. But so lately, and that's actually what I wanted to talk about, because that's the topic of my next big video that I'm going to be working on tomorrow. Rarity versus value. So value obviously is what someone's willing to pay for something. Rarity is your ability to pay for it if you want it in the first place. Ideally, in collecting, we all want rare and valuable. A good example is Hulk 181 is valuable. There are 10,000 copies of it on the census. Yeah. There's a lot of them.
But the demand is so high for it.
Yes, yeah, the demand. So really, like, if there should be 100,000 copies for how many people love Wolverine, right? But the value, a book that is rare. I have so many Vampirella covers that are limited to 150, and you can get them for $30. There's only 150 on Earth. They're never making any more. The 151st fan has to eat a bag of dicks, but everybody else gets a copy up to 150.
Right.
How many raw 181s do you think there are? If you had to guess, there's 10,000 graded.
No, there's so many.
How many were printed? What was the print count on Hulk 181 when they printed them?
Nobody really knows exactly, right?
No, you can look up print counts of those things. They're online when they were printed back in the day.
I've never heard a solid number behind it.
You can get, like you said, it's not a solid. This is 1,282, but they can give you a good estimate on how many.
350 to 400,000 estimated.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I, guys, I've told this story before in the past, but comic books in general, even Silver Age ones we think are scarce. There are so many raw collections out there of people who haven't touched them in 30 years. Case in point, I've told the story, 2 random places a mile from my house that I randomly stopped at, both had X-Men #1s. Mm-hmm. And I live in the middle of nowhere in Western Massachusetts, not like Brandon, but like, and that's just random people I bumped into. Think about how, and then my local comic book store monthly is getting in collections from widowers, widows who their husbands have passed. They found the collection. This happens monthly, and they're finding these comic books, and they're full of Grails. They're everywhere. All comic books are, until you get to the golden age. You get back before 1960, it's a different story. But from the 60s on up, when comic books got big, it's a different story.
And you're totally right, Mike. Like, as far as that's what helped me rationalize getting rid of some of my comics to make my way to unwhore myself, if you will, or is that to whore myself? To sell the comics to get more money for other comics, because I know that everything that I collect is so common. I can get it back if I really wanted. And Ricky, just to confirm, you were saying the difference between value and rarity, but I was thinking, wouldn't it be like the difference between rarity and desirability equals the value? Something.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong. You're not wrong. The cleavage is the value. Then one enormous breast would be the rarity, and the other one would be the desirability. Yeah, people's want for it.
Now, I think Richard makes a good point. Do you think, like where Mike lives, there is a cultural thing about collecting comics as opposed to maybe where I live? Let me ask you this, Mike. Within 100 miles, how many comic shops do you think are in 100 miles of where you live?
Of me?
Yeah.
Well, as the bird flies, I'm getting close to Ricky too. But God, I mean, the Boston area, forget it. Every town has a comic store. So, I mean, even where I live, almost every town has a comic store. So
I only have two within 100 miles.
Really?
No, I have four, because now we have to count Portland, but I have 4 in 100 miles.
Yeah, there's 2 in Portland. I've been to the ones in Portland.
Yeah, there's 2 in Portland. There's one in Freeport, and then there's one it's in a tattoo shop. His wife and him own a tattoo shop, and he started running a comic shop out of the back. It's the coolest thing in the world.
Yep.
But
I live in a special spot though too. I mean, I'm literally like halfway between Boston and New York. I mean, and New England's small, so I can be anywhere. So where I live, so I have a video coming out. Oh, tomorrow actually. I went to a comic book show that I always go to the end of the month, and it was so busy. People are saying the hobby's dying. BS. I was there an hour after they opened. I had to drive around 3 times before I found a spot to park. You could not walk in this place. I mean, not only do we have venues like this, but we have thousands and thousands of collectors, and that feeds the hobby, which feeds these stores. And I know brick and mortar stores are hurting, of course, all over the world, but comic stores are one of the ones that I see are kind of doing successfully around my area. So yeah, it depends on where you live. Obviously, it makes a big difference.
And I think where you're at would be a mecca. You could find there's a lot, and I think maybe up in Portland, Oregon, in that area, I think that's also kind of a hot spot of places to be able to find comics.
Yeah, we got about 12 within 20-minute drive for sure.
Yeah, Oregon is really kind to collectors.
Yeah.
As opposed to me around here, I don't find that many people collect comics. It's just not something that's, I knew it's funny when I was growing up, you had the spinner racks, and obviously people were buying those things off the spinner racks. But I don't think there were, after that, the only place I could go to get comics once they quit that in the store, it was all comic book shops. That was, a 45-minute drive to that one place over in Florida that you could get comics. And that was it. That was the only place anywhere around. Or you could drive over to Mobile and get something over there. But there's just not a lot of comic shops.
I guess the other part of it, because you nailed it. Like, people read comics, and actually, again, shameless plug. I have a video coming out Monday or something like that where I talk about the difference between. I say I like read modern comics, but I don't collect modern comics. There's a distinction between the two. Like, if you buy something and you use it for its intended function, you're using it. You're not collecting. But if you acquire something for reasons beyond its intended function, because like the character or the artist or whatever, you collect vintage toys. You're not playing with those toys. You're collecting them for a reason beyond their function. You're collecting them. I think there's a lot more comic readers that we don't know about, who read digitally or at least follow the movies, things like that. But the collector, the aspect that we all talk about, we have walls behind us, we go to comic book conventions. That's a different thing entirely. That's a niche thing. That's not an armchair kind of comic lover thing. And I think that is definitely a locality centric thing, right? Certainly up here in the Northeast, people have more money, it seems like, and there's a lot more density of people. You're more likely to bump into people that collect. Whereas I'm sure there's plenty of people in the middle, the Midwest who read comics, but they just don't have the assets nearby to be able to buy bigger books and actually curate a good enough collection to consider themselves collectors.
So that's interesting, because okay, Hulk 181, not rare. No one's going to argue that. However, what is rare is the sumbitch who's going to buy it. And so I see it on shelves all the time. We're going to go to Terrificon in August, and I guarantee you we will see no less than 100 Hulk 181s, 100%, easy peasy. The thing that you won't see is people walking around with the damn thing in their backpack, so happy. I just bought this book. So it's kind of, they're not rare. Like the books that I'm going for, like Brave and the Bold 28. I've gone to a shop and I've seen the first appearance of the Justice League, that one with the Starro cover and all the leagues on it. Incidentally, the first cover appearance of Aquaman. But it's not that it's rare. There are thousands of copies available. It is that, like, who's buying it? Who's buying it and saying I'm the end user for this book? How common is that? Especially, like, I mean, Dan, you even admitted you're selling your books. You're moving books to get new books. So even when you're holding it, you know you're not the end collector.
I've got something that speaks to exactly Mike and what you asked, Ricky. Like, it's a modern book, and you're talking about, rarity and value. So one of my collecting goals was to go after, I fell in love with the Invincible TV show. I started reading it online, and I was like, I want to get the first appearance of Monster Girl, because she kind of reminds me of my daughter. My eldest daughter can be this sweet little thing, but at any minute, she could just turn into a monster, a hulking beast. She's 4 years old. 99th percentile. She's like half the size of my wife already. It's hilarious. She got my genes. So I'm looking for this book, and it's a freaking modern ghost. Like, I'm pretty savvy with online shopping. That's my shtick. So, I mean, I went to Instagram sales. Anytime I saw a live sale popped up, I'd go in and say, do you have Invincible 9 or 16? They didn't have them. So Instagram sales, Whatnot sales. I'm looking on my comic shop, nothing there. I found 2 copies on eBay. One was a signed by Ryan Otley 9.4, and another was just a regular 9.4. And I'm like, man, like, I can't find this book anywhere. So I'm like, just out of curiosity, I know that, like, the first prints of Invincible had low print runs. So I look on the census for number 9. There's only 110 graded copies of this book on the census. There are 28 9.4s, 24 9.6s, and 16 9.8s. So, like, this book is from 2004.
Oh, hello and goodbye.
I was about to say, I mean, yes, Brandon knows where he stands.
Magic.
The Colossus.
That was hilarious.
I can't believe that happened.
So speaking of rarity, that's been what's attracting me lately. So the Smurfs book, there are, if I submit this to CGC, this will be the 24th book on the census. It's rare in any grade. But this is the rarest book I own. So it's actually, this August will be its 30th anniversary. Let me
go big. Yeah, go big.
Go big.
So back in 1994, in August, so this August will make it 30 years, a goth magazine came out. Just a goth magazine. It's filled with articles about like literally how to do like piercings and like goth clothes and goth fashion and goth culture. Goth as hell. It's Carpe Noctem. You've heard of Carpe Diem, seize the day, Noctem. You get it. You're smart. So seize the night. And what makes this book funsies? Hold on.
Azrael, Prince of Darkness.
Help me out of the bag.
So it's all goth stuff. Let me find something super goth.
There's a Hot Topic advertisement in there.
Look at
that
shit.
Is that a gothic child on the back?
Oh, it's a wicked gothic child. She's so gothic. It's not a phase, Mom. So it's full of like goth fashion, goth music, record reviews. But on literally the last 2 pages, there's this cool little comic that appears, and it talks about going into the basement so that you can meet Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is about to have its 30th year anniversary. If I submit this book to CGC, there will be 3. It's so rare. They only made 1,000 of them when they made it. It was a fan black and white magazine. How many how many of the 1,000 that got made were purchased by people that read it? How many of those people threw it away? How many got sent back to the publisher? So until I saw this show up on eBay, I literally didn't know it existed. I
Are
only
there
knew about
multiple
Johnny the
printings?
Homicidal.
Are
The
there
what?
multiple printings of it? or
This
just
is
one?
it. They made 1,000 of these, and that's it.
So that shows up. You knew what it was. You knew right away.
So I knew from Key Collector because back in high school, I was I don't know if anybody knows this, but if you're goth, you're a geek. And so like every goth you've ever seen is a big old closet geek. They just have cool fashion. So I was a goth in high school and I was a big old geek. I'll share. I'm gonna look at my computer to see if I can.
I can't wait to see these pictures.
Platform shoes.
Oh,
yeah.
Golly, the makeup and the just. That's why I know time travel doesn't exist, because I would be in a wheelchair right now for going back and kicking my own ass. But so I loved Johnny the Homicidal Maniac in high school, my first year. I loved it in freshman year. It was like my Bible. I walked around. If I wasn't doing anything in school, I was reading Johnny the Homicidal Maniac over and over again. And so I knew what this book looked like, but like the guy I bought it from had only ever seen one in his life, which is why he knew what it was. And like, you literally can't buy it right now. There's no one on the earth that's selling it. You can't find it. And so like, I'm really into rare lately, and I'll let value come out in the wash because this book means something to me. But Ryan, you just got here. You collect a lot of superhero books. Is there anything like Rarity that turns you on, or are you just going for like the books that are on your hit list?
No, I mean, if it's rare, great, but I just collect what I like, right? So it's not really about rarity for me.
Ryan, you're too comfortable with yourself. You need to inflict a little bit of shame somewhere.
Yeah.
You're on a comic book live YouTube show. You need to have a modicum of
self-deprecation.
Yeah, right.
Don't you ever get like a weird boner? Like not like a productive boner, but like a boner that like, now I'm calling out of work and calling my mother. Like this, I need to work through this.
No boners. No
Yes.
boners.
Yes, I'm the only one with a weird boner.
But Ryan, like if you're going after a book, like I didn't know that book I was going after had such a low. Like, wouldn't you find that interesting if you were going after a book and you're like, oh man, like
totally.
That's crazy. There's only like 100 on the
census. Like this is. I mean, I'm not saying this is like super rare, but when I found out this was more rare because it came in a game,
the
like
Pressman
a board
variant.
game, the Pressman variant. This is a second printing, but it came in a board game. And so high grade copies are rare because it was just loose in this board game. So they would get damaged easily. And then like, I don't know, it was in a board game. So like how many people got the board game as opposed to the comic itself, right? So when I found that out, I was like, oh, I love this. Became like a really desirable book to me.
Yeah.
The collection I just looked at, Ryan, my friend Scott had that in a 9.8, and I was shocked by how expensive that book is in any grade. Because I have a Pressman variant of a different, not the cool cover, of a different one I got in that X-Men Alert game. I want that one, but that one is shockingly rare. I couldn't believe it. When he told me, I'm like, this got to be like $100 book. He's like, nah.
That's why I wanted it to be higher grade, and it looks so good. It's just like
my buddy got a 9.8.
It's like
talk afterwards.
I need to like look under a microscope or something. Like there must be like some like strange surface scratches that like I'm not picking up with.
And
with
you
the
said
naked eye, and I don't know.
Ryan, you said no grader notes, right?
Yeah, the grader note said crease back cover.
And I asked, is there a crease on the back cover?
And I don't really see it. I don't see it.
I got a 9.6 on a recent submission. They had a grader note on it. I couldn't believe it. Never seen that before. Ricky, does your book pass the grandma test?
I mean, if you had a like a whips and chains kind of granny, sure. So for those of you who aren't, for those of you who aren't aware, I picture like a walker with like 4 dildos on the end, like 4 guys you can get. No, so for the grandma test is if you if you say a character name to your grandma, does she know who it is? If she does, that's kind of your litmus test on how culturally relevant that character is. So if you say to your grandma, like, hey, like, tell me everything you know about Superman, she's going to tell you, he's name is Clark Kent, came from a land of Krypton. He, green rocks, make his balls hurt. And like, she'll tell you everything she knows about Superman.
It's
like
changed in a phone booth.
He gets changed. Yeah, everything
Yeah.
she knows. He fights robots, I guess. She'll know everything about him. But like, if you ask her, like, okay, tell me everything about Deadpool, she'll be like, Ryan Reynolds, he bought a socket. Like how cultural, but even that is relatively culturally irrelevant. But if you ask her about
Died
like,
30 years ago.
Your grandmother was going to be from Down East Maine, Ricky. Come on. That's a accent.
Is your grandma named Bethany?
No, Sharon.
Sharon.
But there's also a difference between the grandma test, because that's culturally relevant, and demand, where like Hulk 181,
I should do a video with my Nana and just be like,
tell me everything you know about this
cultural relevancy test on all my favorite characters, and then it was Colossus. No idea.
That'd be amazing, dude. If to see her,
grandma
tell her
would
just to
do it.
make it
I
up
might
if
do
she
it.
doesn't know. That would be amazing.
It doesn't necessarily have to be your grandma. You can have little kids come and you can show them something and see what they. Yes, because when my niece comes down here,
Look, you don't show them your cross.
Black Spider-Man statue I have, she calls it Venom, which pisses me off. But I said, no, that's not Venom. That's Black Spider-Man. But you can have that also as kind of a gauge as to the old and the new. And once they converge together, you've got something. If the old and the new both know it, it's probably going to be around a while. That's the reason I think, what is it? Showcase 22 is the first appearance of New Teen Titans. Is that first New Teen Titans?
No, Brave and the Bold 54.
Brave and the Bold 54?
Yeah,
I think
28 JLA, 54 is Teen Titans.
If you want a book, the New Teen Titans, to me, will be in the future one that's going to be super expensive because all the kids watch Teen Titans Go. Teen Titans Go. They love it. They love Teen Titans Go. And later on, when they're 50, I may want one of them Teen Titans Go. When did they first come out? And that kind of thing. And that's what will drive it being more expensive. Plus, 50 years from now, how many are going to be around? Another 50 years, some are going to go away at some point.
Yeah, well, there's that the one that you really want that nobody goes for is it's that showcase book, the Teen Titans one. It's Cyborg, Starfire, and Raven are all in the same first appearance.
Yeah,
and you can
that's
get
the
it
one
for
I'm
like
talking
$50.
about. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about because it's cheaper.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yes, that's the big one.
Yeah, I can see the cover. It's got Green Lantern creating this big green sun, and Superman's like, you're creating kryptonite somehow by being Green Lantern. I didn't really get that, but that's the one that's super cheap right now, and I think in the future will be super expensive. People will actually want to buy that.
It's a good call.
I almost always buy that book.
Yep, same.
I hold it every time I see it. Let me see it. Every time, because it keeps coming down. But I absolutely agree with you, Mr. Akins. Because again, my kids, even when they were little, they watched that cartoon before they watched any of the Marvel movies or anything like that. They knew who all 5 members of the Teen Titans were, and the other, even like the Doom Patrol and stuff. Like they knew a lot of those characters. So, yeah, good call.
How many of us here didn't watch the X-Men cartoon, and that's kind of what fueled people to, hey, I like the X-Men. Mm-hmm. I know Ryan constantly uses it as a reference on new videos and stuff, and Dan is constantly referencing.
It's the pillar of, or a pillar of why I am a Marvel fan and an X-Men fan, especially. Like
I watched the hell out of that show too.
Yeah,
I don't talk about it much, but I love.
That was my favorite cartoon as a kid, and then in the video game, right? Those two things were what made me a total X-Men fan.
Oh, I'm DC, and I watched the hell out of that and the Spider-Man Fox show. I loved that show. That's what introduced me to all the Spider-Man.
See, the funny thing is, a lot of people from our age range say that they watched X-Men, they watched the Spider-Man, they watched the Batman. I didn't watch the Batman. So I don't know. Maybe that's why I really didn't get into DC, because I watched Spider-Man, I watched X-Men, I never watched the Batman.
You're gonna lose some subscribers
Dude, you love it.
I
You
mean,
love it.
the
And then even
Batman
the new
people aren't
stuff,
coming to the Colossus Collector channel much.
Coming at you.
but even the new stuff like Batman the Brave and the Bold was written by the same crew that did the animated series, except they decided to do a funny cartoon show, a comedy about the Silver Age of Batman. So like Gorilla Grodd is surfing with all these other gorillas shooting banana beams at people to turn them into giant bananas so that they'll never go hungry again. It's hysterical,
Makes sense.
but it's really tongue in cheek, and Batman the Brave and the Bold. Watch some clips. I promise you'll all watch it.
What I did watch was the old Batman live action show. I watched the hell out of that, reruns and everything. I mean, like I always do Batman. I don't really, to be honest, have an idea why I didn't watch the cartoon. It just,
Oh, Eartha Kitt though, she was, and then Burgess Meredith as Penguin is still probably my favorite depiction.
Yeah, he was
Oh my
great.
god, it's so good.
when he was in the corner with Rocky, like that's all you see is the Penguin.
Cut me.
Ryan, it is because the time slots of which you were like before you went to school or where you had to be somewhere. Maybe when you're free time of watching TV, that's what was
Totally
predominantly
could have
on.
been. Totally could have been. That's like G.I. Joe. Like I loved G.I.
Mark
Joe
Hamill's a
toys. I love G.I. Joe toys. Like I was crazy for those. But I never could watch the cartoon because it was Sunday mornings and I went to church. So I never watched the cartoons.
I seem to remember Batman being on after school for me, or a lot of that. Is that what's true?
Same.
to you?
Well, I mean,
It probably was,
You've been
but-
East Coast, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. Say Fox 25, like
Yeah.
5 o'clock in the afternoon. we
Yeah,
got it,
that- right, exactly.
So I probably had that too. So that maybe that's not the reason. I honestly, no, I don't know.
Did you guys have Fox Kids? Is that the name of it? Like Fox Kids?
Yeah.
The Fox
Even
Kids
even
Club?
Canada
You guys
had
have
Fox
that?
Kids.
Yeah.
Even
With
even I
Roxy
had
the
it in
Fox.
Canada.
I don't remember that. I remember
Okay.
the Burger King Kids
I remember
Club.
that.
Might just be me. Hey, I got a split, but I want to say that I love all you guys. And Ricky,
I actually have to too. I have to go to bed. I'm gonna exit with Dan.
Ricky,
I get
I
up
want
for
to say
work.
that
I have to get up for work in like 6 hours.
Oh no.
Coincidence? I think not.
yeah, we just walk into each other's screens like hey man, thank God we're out
That
here,
would
right?
be the greatest internet moment ever.
Oh my god! If we
over
could pull
there.
that off, oh my god! Hey,
Mike
much
walk-
love to you all.
Brandon walks out, and then the white door opens behind Dan, and it's
Yeah.
Sit down, start reading a comic. What's up, dude? No, much love to you all. Thank Ricky for inviting us on, and I'll see all you guys somewhere that will not be named.
Yeah, please, Brandon. Ricky, I was gonna say that I really appreciate you're really thoughtful in what you have to say. You have tremendous knowledge. You're really well spoken. You're funny as hell, and I'm just so happy to have been able to meet you. Like you kind of came out of nowhere with you knew one of these guys, and I was just like instantly just like I like loved you right away. So
The word
It's
smitten.
it was all
Yeah, that's the word I was
honestly,
thinking.
it was all Aiken. It was all Aiken. Aiken did a shout out really early on, and then he got Big B to shout me out, and then all of a sudden I was in the same room with Mike, and I've just destroyed every pair of underwear since then.
very nice. Oh, here I'll say hi to the. I've never met you before. I'm Dan though.
Hi Dan, I'm Dave. So
Hi, Dave.
I'm new too. So
Wait, are you the
Hi, Dave.
Australian dude that's been on one of Ricky's shows before?
Yes.
yes,
Okay, I have seen you then. Yeah, all right. Well, nice to meet you.
Although there's a few Australian
There's a
dudes
couple.
on comic YouTube.
one or two.
but on Ricky's channel though.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's
Ricky's
where we
Australia.
met. He came in the chat and he's like, "Hey, can I jump on?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let's go."
Killer, sweet. All right. Well, thanks y'all. I'll catch y'all later.
Hey,
Peace.
Dan.
It's a
He's
complete
always a
power trip.
sweetheart.
But when he's saying goodbye before he hits the button, and I see he's about to hit the button, I kick him the fuck off.
Is that what you did? Is that what you did to Brandon? Because he
I-
got cut, he
like,
got
yeah,
cut
like
off.
they're like, and I'm like, bye. I don't know. It makes me feel good.
You guys gotta not telegraph it so much. You
Yeah,
could've
I
done
know.
that, So
I'm gonna be like mid sentence and go bye.
Hey, speaking
So-
of showcase, and Mike, you mentioned this, right? You pick it up whenever you can.
There it is.
One,
There it is.
Yeah.
but this is slightly different, and Ricky will like this.
Pence.
I
Hence
love that.
for-
I like the UK variants. I'll say
Right.
I do too.
Oh wait.
He's got two.
There we go.
Oh,
So yeah, that's the same as you, Mike. Whenever I see it, it goes in.
Well, I don't own one yet. I just always look at it, and I never
Right.
pull the trigger on it. But I clearly should before you buy them all. So.
I think you're right though. I think the kids, they watch it, right? So they're gonna want to pick it up in about 20. What is it? The 25-year rule that John and Richard talk about. So yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know who like Starfire was until I watched that cartoon. It's true. I knew all the other characters, but I'm like, I don't know who Starfire is. But I learned from the cartoon ever since that. Now, I've now in retrospect, I have comic books with her in it. Never put two and two together to that cartoon because I'm a Marvel guy. But it was an awesome book. I should have it. I'm gonna have to buy it now. You guys got me.
Yeah, I love her. I mean, probably the hardest. Obviously, the hardest one is Robin, Dick Grayson, which is obnoxious. But probably the second hardest one is actually no. There is another hardest one for the Teen Titans. So it's awful. The first appearance of Speedy, Green Arrow's sidekick, was in a More Fun Comics book with Green Arrow. They appeared together, so that makes it more expensive. And Dr. Fate.
Yeah.
No, it's and Aquaman. So it's Aquaman, Green Arrow, and Red Arrow were all the same book, and it's like a $45,000 comic book if you want to get them, because a lot of those Golden Ages they packed them in because there were multiple stories. It's the same thing with the Golden Age Flash, Hawkman, and Hawkgirl. Those are all the same issue.
Yeah. I feel bad. I moved along all my old Golden Age DC. I have one left back there, but I traded or sold all of them. And I had a More Fun Comics. It was like the third cover of Superboy. And I've kind of kicked myself because it's just, talk about rarity. Like there's just, you don't find them. They don't exist. Here I am trading it for books from the 70s. What a fool am I? But I don't collect DC that much, but there is something to be said about having those old ones from the 40s because they don't exist, and there's something cool about the multiple stories in there and the multiple different characters. And
you have to promise me if you ever go to sell that that Superman, but if you ever go to sell it, I'm number one on the list. I love. Okay, so if Action Comics would be great, obviously because of Superman, but why I would love it the most is because I love Lois Lane. Lois Lane is like my.
I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna show it. If you're talking about, I'm gonna show it.
And you must not be the only person that likes Lois Lane, because there it is.
Oh, I love it.
The first appearance of a woman in a Superman suit, so a precursor to Supergirl. And yeah, obviously a great cover, really low grade. It's the one staple, and it's barely attached. I gave it to my friend Jeff at Comic Spa, and he's like, "I'm not gonna work on this." He was too afraid. But of all the ones I got rid of, I got rid of all of them. I've held on to this one so far because, I like it. Obviously 40s yellow cover Superman is very cool. My wife loves this comic book. She's a huge history buff, and she thinks this is the coolest thing I have. But Ricky, you're at the top of the list. I've had several friends tell me if you ever move it, but no, you're the biggest DC collector I know. So
yeah, I love Lois. She's like the most okay. So my favorite thing about Lois, this is a new thing. So remember when they did the New 52? And they rebooted the DC universe. Well, they rebooted the DC universe, and it was generally kind of bad, but they did it. Our Superman from our universe and Lois survived the reboot. So the reboot happened, and there's a new Clark Kent and there's a new Lois Lane, but our Superman from this universe survived, and they were in that universe. That's where they had Jonathan Kent, their kid. Our current Superman was a survivor of New 52. He survived the reboot. And they go into this new world, and there's already a Superman. And so Clark, being the pure soul he is, says, let him be Superman. I'll help people on the side in a black suit. I won't be out there with my chest puffed out, and he can be Superman. I'll be on the side. Lois Lane, she becomes an underground writer named X, who exposes all of the world's woes, and she just becomes a millionaire Pulitzer Prize winning author again. So like if you put Lois Lane in a new universe with nothing but her clothes, she will still become a Pulitzer Prize winning millionaire author. And I respect the hustle so much. I love Lois Lane. Ryan, who is your favorite female character?
Favorite female character, I think, would probably be Storm.
Damn you.
Yeah, Storm or maybe Rogue. I like Rogue too, but probably Storm.
I need a favorite lady.
Betsy
Can't say
Braddock.
mom. Spider Girl?
No, Betsy Braddock.
Betsy Braddock. Which
Ooh,
one's that?
Psylocke.
Oh,
There you go.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
goodness.
love
look at
that book. Oh my god,
That
And
is
a 9/8.
Oh.
9/8.
Ah!
Okay, no. Get that book back up here. Get that book up here.
I got the
Oh
first
my
American
God.
appearance. I want that appearance. I want
That's
that first appearance.
That
And a
is
9/8. That's
Wow.
insane.
Look at the color on that book.
How many of those are in existence, Dave?
there's probably I haven't looked at the census for a while. I've got 8 of them.
What? They're not all 9/8s, are they?
No, I've been chasing a 9/8. I graded probably about those 9, and of those 9, only ever got one 9/8.
Whew.
They're so hard to get 9/8s in.
Well, if you're ever looking to pedal one of
It's
those,
so hard. They're so hard.
let me know.
Wow.
But it has to be the original Psylocke as well. Like I when she became the Japanese crossover character, it wasn't for me.
So when she had that like kind of, I don't want to be offensive, but I'm being descriptive, like that gypsy outfit where it was like the big purple pants kind of deal.
Well, that was the original Alan Davis design, so that's probably why I gravitate towards that. But I liked her original Captain Britain suit, not the one she's got on now. So she was Captain Britain in issue. She became Captain Britain briefly in the Marvel UK run in issue 12. And then she got blinded in issue 13. And that's when they transitioned to to X-Men, which was the X-Men annual 9. Mike, you'll know.
I don't remember.
X-Men annual 8 or 9.
Yeah, when she was blinded.
She's blinded in issue 13 of Captain Britain.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
And then she comes over she's with the X-Men in that annual.
The New Mutants annual number 2 is when she comes.
Oh,
over.
New Mutants.
That's her first American appearance.
Yes,
The
after
pink
that
cover,
book.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That
And
I
then she
have.
joins the X-Men, and I blank in the one with the Wolverine Sabretooth cover.
Yes, so X-Men 213 is the first
That's it.
X-Men.
That's when she joins the X-Men, correct? Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
that's mine. So
Mutant Massacre storyline there.
Right, exactly. My same question to me. Well, Ryan stole mine. It's Storm. Storm is definitely my favorite. I think Storm is not only do I think she's the best X-Men, I think she's one of the best. I think she's the best female heroine in all of certainly Marvel comics. DC definitely has a pedigree to go back older, but Storm, there's so many different reasons why she's amazing. You know, the whole idea of a mutant being someone who's, they're repressed or ostracized by the world at large. We have a woman here who's a mutant, an African American woman, but is this incredibly, ludicrously powerful person who ends up being a better leader than Cyclops himself.
Mm-hmm.
A leader so good that she loses her powers for 30, 40 issues for multiple years. Storm didn't even have her powers, and she was still the best leader of the X-Men. Absolutely one of the best written characters Chris Claremont ever did. Heads and shoulders above the rest. I can't even think of who my second place would be, which is what I'm trying to come up with now. So come back to me on that one, but it's got to be Storm. I love it.
Such a crazy run of not having her powers.
Years.
Like, and her powers are so cool, and she was such a cool character with those powers. To think they stripped it away for years is just crazy, but like such commitment to the story.
And
The
still compelling.
development of her character is wild.
Yep, absolutely. Amen.
Oh, I'm up next.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I like the She-Hulk. I realize that that's probably not a popular, but I remember when she took over for the Thing. At the time, I was a big, huge Thing fan. So John Byrne I was against it completely about, no, I don't want this person in there. I don't want this person in there. And then after a while, he kind of won me over. But really, the first one I can remember liking, and it's funny, I just reread this because I'm kind of going back and looking at all the comics I read as a kid. The first female character I remember reading was Namorita. And in this issue, she was bad-mouthing Dr. Doom, basically told him, like, if you don't, I'll rip that armor right off you at any moment. If you don't realize who you're talking to, I'm an Atlantean princess. You respect me just as much as I respect you. And I was like, ooh, you don't mess with her. So that was another character I've always liked. I don't know if it's been developed very well since then, but I liked her character then because she didn't take crap off of anybody. And I like people that don't take crap off anybody.
Okay. I mean,
the end.
Yeah.
For those that are interested, this is the Betsy Braddock issue that I was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
So that's when she first appeared as Captain Britain, which, again, it's quite rare.
She looks like a bomb pop.
She does.
Yeah.
Rainbow pop.
Let's see if I
Her
can
hair,
it.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I prefer that outfit. It's crazy. Like very 80s. Yeah.
Beautiful book. Beautiful.
Light's terrible.
I love the magazine size. So cool.
Oh,
The old
next book
slaps.
I want- The next book I want is a magazine-sized book.
What is it?
Dave knows.
He knows.
He knows the book I want. I'm desperately like, you can't find them. They're hard to find. The 2000 AD #2. It's the first appearance of Judge Dredd, and that's just like, that's another one that like I want to hunt because it's a culturally significant character. Like, so like a lot of grandmas would at least have heard the name, kind of like a Swamp Thing. It's had multiple movies. It's been rebooted. It's had appearances in multiple different countries. But like, God, that original book, it's such an annoying book to find.
Yep.
I just watched Otto from 3 Men in a Basement. He got a bunch of Foom magazines back from CGC. So nice. And then that Foom 10, man, I saw, I was like, oh, I want a Foom 10.
Yeah, I was. I told you about that, Ryan. That's high on my list. That's a hard book to find.
What's Foom 10?
It's the actual first appearance of the new giant-size X-Men.
Yeah.
Not
but it's like an advertisement, though, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
I added that to my collecting goals this year.
Yeah.
It's such a cool book.
It's killer.
But like all the Fooms they just look awesome. Like he had one with Silver Surfer on it, and another one with I think it was Dr. Doom. Anyways, check out his video. It really, really cool books.
So I saw him at the video coming out tomorrow. I saw him at a comic show a few weeks ago, and he got the box back, but he didn't open it, and he got upcharged by CGC. So he knew, he's like, oh boy, I mean, he knew it was gonna be good anyways. But I mean, that's a good feeling, I think, in general. That's one of the few times where you want them to charge more money on your credit card.
Yeah, they were definitely high grade. He did well.
Didn't win them in a UK auction, did he? Because there was a batch in December, which I was bidding on, and I just missed out. And they were super high grade.
He did a video about where he found them, but I can't remember now off the top of my head where it was.
He told me the story. He saw it with a whole bunch of other stuff, and it was mixed in there, and he couldn't believe how good it was. It actually had something on it, like stuck to it, and his cleaner was able to take it off. So like it was good, except for one defect, and they fixed it. So
nice.
All good news all around for him. What did it end up with? I already forgot. What was the grade?
On the Foom 10, he got a 9.2, and then
2,
on the Surfer one, he got a 9.2, and then the one in the middle was a 8.0, which was a little lower than he was expecting, but still really nice.
And then we always want Foom number 2 because that is the true first appearance of Wolverine.
Stop.
So it begins. I can see it on Mike's face.
We were just talking about this on my X-Men chat with Chris from Cheddar Comics, because he did a great video about Gambit's first appearance and like kind of like mapped everything out. And but yeah, like the the Wolverine first appearance is also just kind of.
I haven't met
Hard
anybody who
debate.
actually says that like they believe 181 is the first appearance. I haven't met that person.
It depends. I said it then. It all depends on your definition of what a first appearance is, right? And if you are the kind of person who's like, oh, the first appearance should be like they're like integral, like big, like a lot of part of the book, then you might think 181 is the first appearance. Obviously, it's if your definition is like where does he literally appear for the first time, then it could be 180, it could be Foom 2,
or 280,
you know?
or 282, isn't it? Is
Yeah.
the other one, isn't it?
Yeah. I always thought that it was. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I always thought it depended on whether or not you were a collector or a reader, what the first appearance was. If the market is deciding 181 is the first appearance, and the collector is going to go, well, that's his first appearance. A reader is going to go, well, no, he appeared in 180 first because I was reading the comics, and that's the first time I saw him in continuity in a story. So, quote unquote. So I always thought it was a difference between a reader and a collector that sometimes boils over into what's the true first appearance of something.
What's so weird with Wolverine is, so 180 is his first cameo appearance. 181 is his first full appearance. 182 is his second cameo appearance. And then Giant Size X-Men is his second full appearance. It's like, what? How does that work? Like, how do you have a second cameo appearance after your first full appearance? It doesn't make sense.
And that's all decided by CGC, and they're the ones that are deciding that this is how it's labeled on the thing.
Well, Marvel are very clear. Trading cards, Michael attests to this. It's 180.
Yep.
Yes.
180.
Well, see, I go back. It matters on when you grew up. For most of the ones here, it was cards. You look at the back of the card, and it says first appearance of Wolverine, Hulk number 180. For me, it was always the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. That's what I was reading. And in there, it says Hulk 180. That's the first appearance.
Marvel versus DC, in the very back, they have like character spreads for people who don't read the other company, and Hulk 180.
But nowadays, CGC is kind of like the thing that people kind of go by, right? Like, and what they label the books. But then CGC doesn't even label every first appearance, right? Like, you know, I have like the first Midnight Suns. There's no mention of them on either the cameo or the full appearance. Like, so I don't know. It's kind of whatever you want to believe, really.
Ricky,
I hate that.
You had I think you had talked about the state of the industry of not supporting the big two at one time. You're like, hey.
Oh yeah, how I don't think I really do.
And yes, it's gonna say right in there. I even got the 1983 edition, and it says Hulk 180.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can see it. Let's get it in this way. Get me out of shot.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
There you go. Hulk, Incredible Hulk 180.
Yep.
Official.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. For me, it's real simple. First appearance is first appearance. The first time you see him, that's it. What the money book is, usually the cover and or a full story with them. But first is first. But it doesn't mean it's the most collectible.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think the first appearance should be a first appearance, like you said. But the money book can be whatever people want to spend their money on.
That's it.
Right? It doesn't have to be the first appearance to be the more valuable book.
Right.
What's chat say? How are they going?
A lot of 180. A lot of 180. Because, like, I don't know.
And like Ricky says, most people are going to say 180.
There's one caveat, though.
Oh, don't.
It has to be in published work because, like, I don't want to get so because there's advertisements in little, like the whole like Spider-Man in the black suit, right? There was a sketch, but it's not in story. I don't know if that counts. So that's why you said, Ricky, like Foom 10. It's not a comic book. It's the first time they show up. It's not.
And then there's cases like that where the writer and artist has come out on record saying 299 is the first appearance of Venom, right?
Right. It is.
But
I absolutely
then
think
there's two, but there is 298, right? Which is
Eddie Brock.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
dumb.
299 is multiple panels as well, so it's actually more
It
than
is.
a count.
Yeah.
It's full. It's a full page. I mean, it's clearly him.
The best one is I mean, I don't even give it to Wolverine. It's Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn's got the weirdest one.
Weird.
So Harley Quinn's first appearance in print was a Fox Kids magazine saying, "Hey, next week turn into the Batman and you check her out." Then her first time in print in color was a children's book called Almost Got Him, and it was a tape that came with a book, a children's book, and you put the tape in and it did sound effects as you read the book. Then her first comic appearance is Batman Adventures 12, and then her first DC Universe appearance was the the Batman Harley Quinn #1, that famous Alex Ross cover. There's so many facets to that.
Do the writers and artists on Batman, the animated series, do they get the credit for creating that character?
Yes, yeah. Paul Dini and Tim. Damn it, what's his name?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I remember Paul Dini, but I couldn't remember.
Mid-series. I'm just adding in the word.
Can't
the
find
name.
it. No.
Tim.
The
You have
one
the
I'm
book?
thinking of is Cable. Cable is another character with just like a ludicrously convoluted thing. He shows up in a preview on the last page, like literally an advertisement for in number 86 before number 87's first appearance. But then you have the whole when they do retroactive, right? He shows up as a baby in an earlier issue, but they retroactively said it was Cable. So then you go, oh, well, that was actually him. Venom's the same case. Some people go back to a Web of Spider-Man comic. You see someone pushing Peter Parker. You see two hands. And then later on they go, oh, that's actually Eddie Brock, but they wasn't at the time. So people are like, oh, that's actually, no, it's not. Right? It's so like you could do that. You could do that anytime you wanted. Someone could just completely go back and go, oh, actually, that's actually,
Well, someone was saying, someone who told me, I it might have even been you, Mike, that Ilyana Rasputin,
yes,
in Giant Size is never named Ilyana, and then was retconned that was her, right?
Right. There's no indication that's a
but it does. I'm pretty sure it doesn't say it on the label, right?
It does not.
No.
So those, and some people count those too, and it drives me crazy. It's like,
Bruce,
Sorry.
Hello, Mr. McFly.
Ryan.
Hey. What's up, people?
Now, what does CGC label something like a preview or an ad appearance? Like, does it say first appearance in an ad or in a preview, or does it just say first preview appearance or something like that?
it usually doesn't say anything.
Doesn't say
You know.
anything.
Well, then that's good.
Because there's lots of
It might
text
say
ones.
preview appearance, but yeah.
Right, there's lots of text ones. Sometimes, like in the case of Cable, and New Mutants 86, it shows him literally Rob Liefeld, of him like, oh, in the next thing you meet a new character. But in some cases, like Falcon comes to mind. So the first appearance of Falcon in Captain America, the issue before that, there's a preview. The next issue, you'll meet the Falcon spelled out in the issue beforehand. So, like, again, this comes down to that doesn't really matter. It has to be in the story for people to generally count it. Previews don't count, which is why I think they don't, unless it's a very extreme case, they don't even put it on the labels.
Hey, Ricky.
Yeah,
So you make Dave big?
I can. Thank
So they
you.
do.
I'm literally making I was making the thumbnail.
Industrious.
Multitasking.
I'm
So
trying.
again, let's get this in so you can see it. So Marvel Age 12, first black suit, Spider-Man black costume concept art.
Yes.
Predates Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, so something like that I don't mind. Like I like it being noted, but not being called for a first appearance.
I always love this cover because of Shadowcat.
Yeah.
She doesn't appear on the main cover because she disappeared from. So she was originally intended to be in Secret Wars, got pulled.
Do you know why she got pulled? Does anybody know why she got pulled? Because John Byrne kind of had that relationship with Colossus and her, and Jim Shooter didn't like it. They were always feuding, and that was the reason she got pulled from it. And that's the whole reason, that all started. He didn't like the fact that she was so young. Jim Shooter didn't like the fact that she was so young, and this adult was having a a relationship with somebody that was underage, and he said, "Hey, we need to quit this."
Jim nipped that in the bud and made Colossus a cheater.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
instead of being a pedophile, he's a cheater instead. So which one, which?
Which is
It's a pedophile
funny
and a
because he's
cheater.
like one of the most like noble, like kind-hearted characters, and then like they just completely smeared his good reputation.
Exactly. I guess that Marvel Age has the preview art that Jim Shooter bought from that guy, from that kid. Is that what's showing in that Marvel Age?
Yeah, I can't show you, but yeah, that's what's in here. So it's basically
crack
the
it
black,
open.
but it's black. Yeah, crack it. Has anyone got a heat gun?
Yeah, they can just slide those suckers
Yeah.
back in.
Too soon.
I think it's got the costume concept art where they turn it, so it's got the front, the side, the back of the costume. But I think they have the spider in red.
Yes, that's right.
instead of
Black
in
and red.
white.
Mhm.
Black and red.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
But I
Now,
don't think that was-
I'm back in the game. I made our little.
Back in the game.
Thumbnail activated.
Hold on, let me.
You did it on your phone?
Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
So I use a website for you guys. I use a website called Image Flip, IMGFLIP, and it's literally for making memes. And you can just add pictures and move them around really easily, and it's always been free. And so like every thumbnail I make with Image IMG Flip.
I spend too much time on thumbnails. I need a quicker way to do it. I do everything on my phone except for thumbnails. So I gotta
IMG Flip. It's a great website. Like you can get into nitty gritty, and then when you do it on your iPhone, all I'm doing is I'm hitting if you hit the power button and the volume up, it will do a screen cap on your phone, and then I crop it to what I want, and then I just do that multiple times. So I did that with all of your names while we were talking, and then I just threw them in the photo. It's really fun.
Why was I on there twice?
You weren't on there twice. Shut up! Don't even fucking. Oh, you were. God. Fucking.
I didn't see my name on there.
I thought he did it intentionally.
Oh, I didn't even know
it was
order
intentional.
that's in.
Double your lunch money comics.
I love Mike twice as much as everybody else.
Oh,
And I just don't want
crying
any of
out
that.
loud.
He tells me that behind the
We
scenes.
need
I don't
somebody
need
to join
Jesus
the stream
wept.
and make themselves Mike Lunch Money Comics, and then there's
There you go.
Okay, now I'm wondering who I forgot.
Was it me?
You just got here. You don't count.
I don't
You're not
count.
in the
Awesome.
final. You're not in the final cut. No, I'm gonna get you now. Okay. God damn it. That's so obnoxious.
Richard said, "I would rather get the credit for creating Black Suit Spider-Man than money, but compensation would be nice." I think he only got paid $250 by Jim Shooter.
Yeah, it wasn't much. It wasn't much at all. So you guys were talking about magazine-sized books. My big magazine size this year was the.
There you go.
Oh, he's got one too.
Yeah.
I love that book
I know.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, they.
Missing the mask. But
Mask,
yeah,
yeah.
the 9.0, and it was super affordable. So yeah, I think next closest. I think I got it for under 500, and the next closest was like 7 or 8.
If I ever get a mask, I'll send it you. Get it regraded.
Is it just loose hanging in there, or what is the deal
Yeah,
with
it's
that?
literally loose.
Yeah.
And it's so
There you
funny.
go.
There's a discrepancy between. So I'll show you this. There's a discrepancy between. I've got two here, right? So I got one graded by CG. I got multiple graded by CGC. These are non-signature. So these number one with mask inside. Includes original mask. Fine. They don't make mention, and they were always loose. Always. In the newsagents. I know for a fact they were loose. My dad was a newsagent. They were loose. They fell out of the magazines.
So where does it sit loose in there? Like what?
Just in the center. Just
in the center fold? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For some reason, CBCS. Now this is a Stan Lee signed one, which I got verified. CBCS reckon it's stuck. They call out on the label, distributed with Captain Britain mask glued to the interior, which I know for a fact did not happen. Did not happen. And I asked them, I said, can you change the label? Because that is incorrect. They would not do it. They refused to do it. So be mindful if you get anything verified with CBCS, particularly this book. It was never distributed with glue. Never.
You should do a video on that and just get it plastered all over YouTube.
Yeah.
Start a movement. Cancel CBCS for their.
No,
I've noticed about like the European books, they always gave you cool shit. Like there were masks and like inserts and frisbees and tattoos and like I don't know, we got chrome covers and it sucks.
We got tattoos.
We got tattoos,
A couple times.
Yeah, but they weren't Marvel tattoos.
Trading
though.
cards.
Right?
rating cards.
Some trading cards, yeah, but that wasn't until the 90s though. You didn't
That was
get a
all
lot of
90s stuff.
Yeah,
this
value
was-
stamps you had to cut out and ruin your book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go.
Or there's that Fantastic Four, was it 128 with the color insert, which was like essentially a Mark Jewelers, but it was for Fantastic Four pinup.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a if you find the 128, there's a Doctor Doom Rogues Gallery, all in bright, like it's basically a cover inside the book.
Nice.
So that's on the list. But yeah, Marvel UK had so many cool, great little gifts like flags and transfers for T-shirts.
That's
This is
awesome.
back in the 70s.
That's so cool.
I know they had better stuff.
What, Ricky?
They had better stuff.
Well, it depends on what you. So I'll show you the Spider-Man mask. That's hilarious.
And free healthcare. God.
Let me bring this up. It's so funny.
I get a prolapsed anus. I got to pay like a deductible. You guys they'll just stuff it back and off you
Yeah,
go.
but you go.
and
You get to go in. You get to go in right away. In Canada,
not even.
We have to wait
even
8
true.
months before we can get anything done.
Not even true. Like so. Like
Sorta true.
my wife has a horrific condition that requires many different specialists and teams of doctors, and they'll be like, "We'll get you in contact with this new guy. We really need you to talk to him in 4 months." And like, man, try to make a therapy appointment. Hope you're not sad. Hope it's not an emergency. Hope you feel good enough to make it tomorrow, because you're not going to get a therapist for like a year.
Yep.
Is it bad in Canada? Is that a problem you guys face? Like you never being able to get
wait
in?
times are really, really bad. Yeah. I mean, if it's like super, super serious, like you obviously get pushed up, but a lot of people have to wait for things. And like, if you have like any like structural things, like you need an MRI on a knee or something, like unless you're a pro athlete, you're going to be waiting a
Oh,
long
is that
time.
one of the masks?
There you go. It's your very own free Spider-Man paper bag.
That's so sick.
It's awesome.
Use it to
want
pick
one
up
so
your
bad.
dog's poop.
We had quality free
Right.
gifts.
Oh man.
Is that made out of plastic?
Paper.
That's super safe for kids.
Paper. Oh man.
So like they invented the Amazing Bagman.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty much.
The actual first appearance of Bagman.
Wow.
Yeah. My favorite though is I'm just trying to find it.
So Ricky, I was asking if you needed to add this to your Bad Girl collection.
Oh, hold on. Let me make you. I'm like pulling in like 100 years old. Like, what
Yeah,
the-
like you're my age.
Versus Kabuki.
See, I never read Kabuki, but yeah, absolutely, I totally would.
This is, I don't know if you can see the gold stamp.
Yeah.
This is a combo magazine. So it was like that magazine. I don't know how much great distribution it had, but it was like a games and comics magazine. And so it's a limited edition combo foil stamp signed by David Mack down here. Limited to 5,000 with the COA. So that was kind of cool.
Okay, you brought something up that I definitely want to get some answers on. Does anybody not like signatures on your books?
I'm torn.
Yeah, it depends on the book.
Depends on the book.
I'm not a bit. Yeah, I'm not a big signature guy, but I wouldn't want all my books signed. That's for sure. Like It depends.
It also-
I also would be, if I was a signature guy, I'd be super picky about where and how they sign
That's it.
books. Like the fact that Claremont likes signing over the trade dress on all his books is so annoying. Like I would
Right.
only want books signed that have like a really empty space for their signature to just perfectly like just be on a book.
I am angry about this. So, and the worst part is I made my choice on this because I love this book. I had broken out, whatever, redone. I love this comic. I had a debate with our friends, like where to go. I wanted it right here. But someone told me Claremont always signs on the trade dress. And if you do it anywhere else, he doesn't like it and he'll cover things up.
I don't get it.
Out of just like exasperation, like just have him do it wherever he wants. And he did it up there. But I love this cover because the yellow, even with the custom label, like it looks super cool. It matches Cyclops' visor. The yellow stands up. And he also signed it with a color pen I didn't want him to. So, like, this drives me bonkers. Like, I love that I have this book. It's one of my favorite covers of all time. But I've been kicking myself ever since. I didn't tell him just do a small right here. I'd be fine with that on either side, or if you had, same thing. The Cochran kind of sign it. But kills me. He does this with every single one of his comic books. And I blame myself. You don't want to blame myself. So, yes, I like them sometimes as long as they're not invasive.
See, back in the day, we used to have everybody sign on the inside of the book because you didn't want the front of the cover marred. So
I know so many of
now
the.
that you
there we go.
slab them, right? Now that
That's
you
the one.
slab
That's what
them,
you want.
You can
Yeah.
see it.
yeah, here's mine.
That's
nice
right.
signature.
John Byrne signature, straight from Canada.
There you go.
Via the
Somebody
United
said that.
States.
Yeah, Sophie nails it though. If I have it signed, then I don't need to grade it or anything like that. I just want to have it because I met them. And you can also be a lot more clear, like where to sign it. Like I have tons of books that I've met people, and that's a completely different story. There's a story there. You met the person, they signed it. That's way more meaningful. I love that. I love it. It's stuff you have in your personal collection. That's a different story.
See, like
Yeah, I
I
picked up
like stuff where it's like signed with like a white marker or a gold marker, and it's like in a good spot. Like
Right.
that's way better to me. I'd
I've
kind of
never-
like to get this signed, but like Canadian price variant on a Canadian team book by the Canadian artist and writer.
Yeah.
I heard that Byrne isn't signing anything Marvel anymore, though.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he doesn't sign
He-
much at all. Period. Right?
Yeah, he's a bitch.
He's in Connecticut, and he's I guess I
True,
know
he
somebody
is.
knows him, he's like a shut-in.
Did someone say bitch? I mean, Byrne.
They did. Look at that.
I
That's
think he was a prickly guy to
I'm
work
not
with
sure.
too, right?
Is it the
So,
price variant? Don't know. Is it price variant?
It's 125.
No.
No,
So not the Canadian
yeah.
price variant, but close enough.
still,
Ricky,
I
I've
got-
never bought one that signed. This one was a gift, and the other one was a gift. The only two signed books I have are gifts.
There we go. Stan.
see, Stan's a different story too. I have
Yeah, I
You know-
met Stan, and I'll tell my Stan Lee story. This is really cute. So I went to a Canada convention. I went to Fan Expo Con in I think it was Toronto.
Fan Expo,
But so-
yeah, that's our
Fan
big
Expo.
show. Yeah, yeah.
So I went back before Fan Expo became like worldwide.
Or-
That was like the best convention you could go to.
Or
And-
it was Toronto Comic Con, but they're basically the same show.
Yeah,
They're run
but
by the same company, and they're just different times of year. But Expo is in the summer, and that's the bigger one.
Yeah, so the Stan Lee was there. So my choices were Stan Lee or Mark Hamill, and I knew I was only going to have time for one. And like Stan Lee at the time was like, I think he had just turned 4,000, and so I was like, if he dies tomorrow, I'm the asshole in this situation. So they have you. It's a meat market. They have him in a chair, like a little throne. And they're ushering people through. They're flying them through. Go, stand next to him, say your sentence, get the fuck out of here. Really quick stuff. And so I ran in and I just said, hi, Mr. Lee. I just want you to know Spider-Man taught me how to read. And then I turned towards the camera and he goes, good, give me money. And then we both laughed at the joke, and I laughed and he laughed. And then that was the first photo that he took all day where he was actually smiling and not doing the like, give me your money and get the hell away from me.
Yeah.
And so we both laughed, and then he goes, you're all right. And that was it. That was my Thanks. I think I had the photo in the living room. I'll go grab it. But
Yeah,
like, we're both laughing.
I bet he was so much better to meet. Well, obviously a little earlier before his like later years, but like if you could meet him in a more like smaller space rather than like like a smaller venue, less people kind of thing, he's probably way more Stan Lee like than when you're like 405th in a 1,000 person line.
There you go.
That's
Right.
awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, he was just he was
There it
very
is.
charming. Now, conversely, the worst celebrity I ever met was actually Tamara Morrison, the guy that plays Aquaman's dad in the Aquaman movies.
Really?
And he played Abin Sur in the Green
Daniel
Lantern
Fair.
movie with Ryan Reynolds, and he was awful. He was awful. There was no one in his line, and I went over, and so he was in an indie movie back in the 90s, a Hawaiian culture movie called Once We're Warriors, and I saw it when I was way too young, but it like left a big imprint on my life. And so, you go up to the celebrity who's famous because they were a walk-on role in Star Wars. You think they'd appreciate being told like, hey, that indie movie you made, that like literally changed my life as a person. And I know that was important to your culture. And like, I just wanted to say I appreciated your performance. And he goes, bit dodgy, that one. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I'm standing there, and then his handler is like, I'm so like mouthing it. And so I go, well, it would mean a lot if I could take a picture with you, because that movie meant a lot to my family too. Like the rest of us, we all saw it together. And so like, I'd appreciate that. And he goes, you can take a picture of me, but not with me. And then I was like kind of taken aback. And so I'm processing how much I fucking hate this guy now, and then paying the handler, and I'm just full of rage. And he goes, who do you want the autograph then to? And I was just like a little flustered. And so he goes, so I guess to no one then. And then he just signs his name and shuts it.
Wow.
No way.
It was awful.
Wow.
Nice.
Never meet your heroes, right? Never meet your heroes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What were you showing, Bigby? What comic?
Which one was I showing? ASM 155.
Would that have Stan Lee's signature?
Yeah, it's got a Stan.
Did you meet him?
Signature over here. I did not meet him. No, I got a stack of like 7. Well, they're all right here. 7 Stan Lee signed books from a shop, and the only one that's signed on the cover is the ASM. So, but I got like a FF22, FF43, Silver Surfer 18, Daredevil 8 for
One of my
Stiltman.
favorite covers ever.
This guy must have been a Stiltman fan. Daredevil 26 and X-Men 51. They were all up on the wall in like picture frames, and I was like, "Are those for sale?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, nobody ever asks about those. We haven't repriced those in like 10 years."
One of the
I was like,
sorry, go ahead.
"Go ahead."
I was just gonna say one of the coolest things I've seen that someone's been working on in terms of like remarks and stuff. So Erod212 on Instagram posted it, but he's got this like sketch with all these different X-Men characters, like kind of like their heads, but it's like in this collage. And he's basically getting each character done by a different artist that he meets at a con. And he's kind of got it mapped out by somebody who can draw pretty well. And then the artist can just go and pick whoever they want to draw out of the X-Men world and put it onto this thing. And it looks so cool. And he's like slowly finishing it. It's really, really cool.
That's awesome.
I'll see if I can pull it up. Here's yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So he's like every so like he's got the faces mapped out, and then he's just slowly putting it together. It's so cool. And then the artist kind of does a little signature next to the one that they draw. Oh man, that thing's gonna be so cool.
And then, of course,
Great.
Mike has his Heroes for Hope.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
I mean,
sleep with it at night. Yeah.
Which is also very cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I have a funny story with this one. Walt, the longest I ever waited in line ever was for Walt Simonson, because he's there with his wife. He's an old guy. He just starts talking to people, and he has to get up every once in a while. So you'd have a line, you wait for like an hour or whatever, and then he's to like get up and have a snack. So they leave, and then you have to get a tag, like when you come back. I went in line 3 times, and he come up to like and apologize to us. So finally, I was like the last person in line. I got to get his signature on this book. And his wife had already signed it on the back right here. So I told him, like, hey, Walt, like, your wife signed the back, maybe sign next to her. And he just ignored me. And he had a big long scrawl with a big circle in the middle. And he just circled Wolverine's junk.
yes.
And I can't unsee it. And I literally, he did it. I had about a second delay, and I just started laughing. I was like, I can't believe I waited in line for an hour and a half at Terrificon for him to sign. I mean, I just can't unsee it, but it's a great story. Honestly, I wouldn't have a story right now if it wasn't for that. So, and there's 9 signatures on here. I know a lot of people that worked on this have passed, but like, it's cool. I'm just keep going as long as I can and see how many I can get. So,
Yeah.
Who are you trying to get next on that, Mike?
You know what sucks? I've met people that worked on the book that I didn't have it on me. Like Jim Shooter worked on this book, and I met him. He signed other things. I didn't have this at the time. There's not many. Like I said, like Byrne doesn't show up.
Yeah.
A lot of people are gone. They're not around anymore. It's, Neil Adams is gone. Stanley's gone, obviously. Buscema, all those guys are gone. So there's not many. The list is small, and all the guys that are left are like West Coast guys. I don't see them come up to cons. Interestingly enough, the 2 signatures I think are most likely for me. This is actually kind of a cool trivia. 2 people worked on this book that wrote on it that are not normal comic book writers. They are Stephen King and George R.R. Martin, both of whom I've met before as well for completely different reasons. I've book signed and stuff. I would love if I ever had a chance, like if there's another book signing George R.R. Martin when he never publishes the next book. If he does, I will be there with the new book and this, wherever that is. So those are probably the 2 most likely I'll get, because I haven't seen anybody comic book wise go to any conventions anytime recently.
You'll be the only person in line with that book too.
Other people started doing it because of me, copying me. You got
Simonson seems to have a knack of finding the person's anatomy.
There you go.
Like, I don't know what it is. And again,
Sign in his wallet.
his wife signed on the back. Louis signed on the back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I'm doing the same thing with this book, not just on the outside, but on the inside. But this one's even harder than the one you're talking about, because to your point, you show it to the creators and they'll go, oh, they go, he's dead, she's dead.
No, that's it. Exactly. Yeah.
So I've got Adams on that page as well, because he did the special effects in this thing. There's so many different creators in here. Ron Wilson's in there.
Very cool.
Yeah, but there's a John Byrne, and you're never going to get a John Byrne.
No.
Rubenstein.
Oh. Yep.
Who else we got?
I like it when they add the date.
Yeah, Rubenstein did the exact same thing, and Art Adams dated it.
Yeah.
So did you guys see yet? I don't know if you'll be excited about this if you're signature collectors, but literally today on Terrificon they added Chris Claremont.
Oh, nice.
Back. Yeah.
Nice. The Jim Lee's already there. That's awesome.
Not the prices he's charging at the moment. I'm like, I'm off Claremont signatures now, I think.
I've never gotten anything, so I'll pay up.
He was cheap. Terrificon, I was shocked. Everyone was actually cheap. Like the Simonsons just wanted a donation to a charity of their choice. They had like a jar for like abused women or something like that. And that was it. And then even Claremont, I think it was like $10 or $15. It wasn't like
I don't know if I need to donate money to abuse women. That seems kind of
when was that, Mike? Because that's $10. He's not been charging $10 for about 2 years.
It was 15. This is last year. It was $15.
Maybe that's his con price, but like through CGC he.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. No, it's 85. I think at least, right, for CGC. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they get all kinds of fees wrapped up in there.
Jim Lee's expensive too, apparently.
I'm willing to go like no fooling. Hold me to this. I'm willing to go up to like $500 for a Jim Lee crypto sketch. Like I want a comic sized like one of the poster board kind of deals that they do, one of the comic sized ones. I want one of those, and
I think it would cost more than that.
I'll go up to 500 for like a head sketch of a goofy dog from a little bit of cape in the background.
There you
That's
go.
a lot of money. I'll settle with the signature on an X-Men one or something.
Jim Lee's just like, he's one of those, like, it's not just that he is what he is creatively, but like he's currently the president of DC Comics. He's
Right.
he left comics to go start Image. Like, the man is, the industry doesn't exist without him. Like, you know, we say names like Stan Lee, but like Jim Lee's right up there.
Did you hear they were rumored to be bringing him back for X-Men?
They asked him. Apparently, he turned it down.
I mean, he owns stock in DC.
That's what I mean.
Like,
Like,
that would go over.
or like, oh yeah, Jim Lee like spurns, like rejects Marvel, but it's like he's like the top dog at DC. Like, is he going to be the top dog at Marvel? Because maybe then he'd come. But like,
I've never understood the competition when, if they would combine together and create an entirely other universe, let an independent comic book publish it, and they just rake in the funds of putting the characters together just to create a whole nother universe that's Marvel and DC combined together. That's you're just printing money. You talk about not only for collectors, but readers are going to get excited about it too. They're just going to be just grabbing that stuff up.
Real talk, I think it's ego.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
It's a little bit of brand protection too, though, because like they wouldn't want to. They would have to have like final say, and then it's like, oh, so who wins that fight? Who does, like, you know what I mean? Like they don't want to have someone one up the other, and like, I don't know.
Right.
I have a feeling they would have trouble kind of like letting someone have the keys to the car and just like drive it wherever they want, right?
I mean, even when they did Avengers versus JLA, and even when they did Marvel versus DC, it's like everyone got in the same room and agreed at once, like Superman wins all of it, right? And they're like, yeah, obviously. And so I don't know if Marvel's willing to cede that type of.
They even thought they had to make it a 4-issue limited series, a lot of those, because the first time it had to have Marvel versus DC and then DC versus Marvel, or JLA.
Well, the JLA Avengers it goes back and forth. It says Avengers JLA, JLA Avengers, Avengers JLA, JLA Avengers.
I will say real quick, one of my favorite comic moments ever is in JLA versus Avengers when Captain America and Batman bump into each other. And the JLA and the Avengers start fighting. There's like superheroes fight, miscommunication. They don't know who each other are. They just immediately start fighting. Thor just immediately starts wailing on people. Batman and Captain America are just testing each other, right? They're just doing martial, not just barely touching each other, figuring each other out. They have this whole like psychological thing, feeling each other out. They both go, there's more going on than this, right? They're like, yeah, let's get out of here. We'll figure it out. We'll let these guys fight. I freaking love that. When I read that, I totally nerded out. It fit both their characters so perfectly. One of my favorite things ever. I love that comic book story. Honestly, I really ate that up when it came out. It kind of ends like you think, you know, they have to team up and all that, but loved it.
There's a bigger foe afoot. You know,
like,
you have to come together.
Yeah, and it's Valiant.
Yeah.
Hey, Ricky, if you want to knight me with a wrench, I'll go ahead and drop everybody's link to their channels for people to sign up for them.
Ooh.
What do I need to do?
United.
You go to a comment that I made in the chat, and you click on me, and it'll give you options, and one of them is make a moderator.
Let's
Try to take over your channel.
So if I hover over your name, I can
I
can show your comment, or I can put you in timeout or ban.
Hey Ryan, watch this. I have
You
now.
can't do it on your phone. You have to do it on a computer.
I'm on the computer. Yeah. If I'm in the comment section and I cover you, all it lets me do is say put user.
So there should be like 3 dots to the side, and
that's what I see when I hit it.
I'm 42 away.
You know,
42 subscribers away.
Well, I subscribed today, Ryan. I watched your show today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I even commented on it because I was like impressed by the way your collecting goals and how you were breaking it down,
I've
slowing
been
it down.
thinking
but
about it. I've been
quality versus quantity.
doing
I
some
like that.
personal
This is gonna get
reflection
weird
on
for a second, but look,
Infinite.
Bigby, when I hit the
Whoa.
3 buttons, all it does is
Comic
it says I can put you
Inception.
in timeout or ban you.
Comic book Inception.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know if it's because you're in the group that I can't make you.
No,
a
usually if
moderator.
you're in the group, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Huh. Will it let you do it to anybody else that's in the group?
No, and
You
yeah, I'm
can-
trying
you
the
can
other
go
3
through-
dots.
You can go to like your YouTube channel and like go through settings and add.
I'm on
some-
StreamYard.
Yeah, no,
Oh yeah,
I
it's not on
was
stream.
wondering-
You have to be on. It has to be on YouTube itself.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not on YouTube. I know I'm on YouTube right now, but I'm not. I'm on StreamYard.
Okay, so yeah, if you went into your
I'm not
YouTube
on
chat,
YouTube, but I'm on
Yeah.
YouTube.
I'm not
Right.
on YouTube.
There was nothing
Yeah.
sexual about that at all.
No.
I'm on YouTube.
yeah, there you
On
go.
top and
No,
bottom.
I saw Mon came out with a short today. I'm wondering if he used that new app that I was talking about that chops up live streams into little shorts for you. It's AI. It'll chop
Yeah.
up your live streams and
Oh.
put like text over it and everything for you.
It's Mr. Kevin Conroy.
Yes,
That's
the
cool.
voice himself.
He was so cute because he was there, and then that guy from Boy Meets World who does the voice of Terry McGinnis was there, and so everyone was getting both of their signatures, but they were playing dueling banjos all day. So if you went to Terry McGinnis first, he would write "I'm Batman," and then he would write underneath it "Incorrect, I'm Batman," and they would go back and forth all day, and they had so much fun together. They were sweet. But here, while I have my phone out, this is I'm going to show you my holy grail of celebrity meet and greets. This is the big one. This is the big boy. Oh yeah.
We don't know.
He was hawking Danny DeVito's limoncello at a liquor store in Nashua, New Hampshire.
That's right.
There you
How
go.
much did you buy?
We bought like 7 bottles. Everybody got limoncello that Christmas with the signature on it. That's Danny DeVito. He's as tall as the bottle.
That's cool.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I thank everybody for coming on. I know this is super short notice, but like, I just like having you guys on here because you're all smart and we could use a little bit of diversity. So maybe Aiken, I don't know, maybe give your seat to a diverse viewer in the future. You jerk. How did? but no.
What's your analytics like, Ricky? Do you have many?
Do you have analytics?
It is a wall of penis. Is
I think
what
I
I'm
have like
looking at.
99% guy.
Yeah,
viewers on my
99%
channel.
male. Yeah.
I mean, I'm
I'm
looking
like,
at mine and yours.
Over 40 for me. Yeah. Mine not over 40 male. It's just skews. Except for shorts. Shorts is unusual. Shorts will skew it the other way.
It's a whole different animal. Those shorts.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've got a 20% female viewership on my channel.
Really?
That's because your art.
Yep.
We talked about this, right? Did we
Yeah.
talk about this at some point?
We thought
Yeah,
it was
your
art
art
and
your
shorts.
art
Yeah.
really appeals, to a whole different market segment.
Different demographic.
Different demographic.
Jackpot.
I like 10% women, 90% male.
Mine just says Sophie on mine. Is the one for, my mom.
Next one female viewer.
No, I do have one subscriber. She talks all the time. She's really into Vampirella. Vampirella pulls in the ladies. But she's constantly talking about Vampirella. She lives in Australia as well, and she's a collector of Victorian undergarments, and it's the dopest thing I've ever seen. Like classic Victorian clothing. Like she has like a little girl's dress from like 1820. It's the coolest thing ever.
99.4% male.
That 0.6% is just me.
Everybody's
I'm
looking
just-
up their analytics now.
Mine is 3.1% female, so slightly better.
I'm surprised I hit higher than everybody, but then I've probably got less. Yeah.
It's the accent.
It's the accent, I was
Ladies
gonna
love
say.
the accent.
Sophie Jackpot Comics talks is probably my only female viewer, and I thank you for viewers.
Sophie, are
diversifying your
you
viewership.
close enough, Sophie, that you're coming to the con too?
No. I got 10% female.
Wow.
Oh,
There you go.
he's coming.
Nice.
That's sick. This is going to be such a fun convention.
I wish
Sophie's
it's
gonna
so
try to
far
make
away.
it
I'm so
awesome.
mad.
Awesome.
I wish it was like June, or May. I'm so excited for it.
I know. I wish it was.
August, August is a
sooner.
good time because I need to save some money.
Yeah, for real. Now we got to get Dave to come. He'll come from Australia just to Connecticut.
Which one is it? Which one?
Terrificon.
I had a guy from Australia come just to go to the Brimfield flea market. He flew all the way up. So sometimes Australians do it.
So I'm doing Emerald City, WonderCon, Heroes. Now I got to do Terrificon.
You're gonna do Emerald City. Well, that's my neck of the
Wondercon?
woods.
Yeah.
How many cons have you been to, Ricky? Give me a number.
Hey, Bueller. There you go.
Bueller.
I want to say like
What's up,
40.
my friend?
40.
Yeah, because I also like you have to understand. So like when I wasn't in comics, like I've really been into the horror movie scene for a long time. So anytime there was an actor that comes up in something that I like or a writer or something, that's where I'd go. Been to a ton of horror cons. I've met everybody.
Mike, how many have you been to?
I don't know, a lot, probably, I don't know, 20 or so. Like I said, even beyond comics, I used to go with my friends for TV and movies and stuff, for actors before comics, where I was really cared. But like, I like to go, I'd rather go to like comic cons than like the big, pop culture ones that these have kind of turned into. So I don't know, 20, 30 maybe.
Ryan, how many have you been to?
Well, it depends on your definition of a con.
Sex shows don't count.
No, I like size wise, like I've only been to like one big one, which is Fan Expo in Toronto. But I've been to a few smaller things, so like 3 or 4. I'm not a big con guy, but I'm hoping to go to more.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your definition too, right? Because like I go to a Comic Con every week. I mean, sorry, every month, but it's not like what we're talking about. I've been to game cons. I used to go to Gen Con, the big board gaming one in Indianapolis. I love board games, and that's a different kind of con that we're talking about.
I've actually been to a couple sports card ones too, so if those count, like I've been to
Gen Con, man, that puts any Comic Con I've been to shame. I've been to Gen Con twice. That was amazing.
Gen Con is
see, that's one I want to go. I've never been to Gen Con. I would love to go to Gen Con.
You don't sleep at Gen Con. That's the thing. Like I went for 3 days. I was a finalist in a game. I don't need to get into it. Super nerdy. I was top 10 in the world in a certain game. That's another story. But what ends up happening, I love board games. We'd be up at like 2 a.m. walking through the hotel, and there's people playing a game, and you're just like, I'm not sleeping tonight. And you just sit down with these strangers in the hotel on the floor.
Side games everywhere. Anything you can think of.
It was awesome.
And still 35 cents. How many cons have you been to?
So probably about the same as Mike, like around 20 or 30 over the years, the last 10 or 12 years. But last year, for instance, I did 3, all US based. Oh. So I'll generally fly over, do the weekend, and then fly back. And I'll use it as a way to just submit books as well, because it's so ridiculous to do that. So you take your books with you, you submit them, and then you fly back. So it's good.
When is Rose City? I guess Dave, are you going to Rose City and Bigby? When is it?
Oh no, I'm going to Emerald City.
You said Emerald City. He's going to, not Rose City.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's Seattle.
I've done Rose City, but yeah.
Okay. Because I figured it was West Coast. I wondered if you'd been, because I don't know when it is, but I was thinking of visiting my sister who's in Portland for that show.
Yeah, Rose City was, I think, September.
Right.
I want to say it was in September. And then right after that, we have Frankenstein, which is like a week or 2 after that. So
is WonderCon in California? Is WonderCon California?
Yeah. It's basically it's by the same company that does SD San Diego, right? But it's Anaheim. So it's really funny. The WonderCon one this year, I'm getting married the following week, and actually we're going to be in Anaheim the week prior, and it's literally the weekend before I get married.
Wow.
So it's
Bold.
I know.
At least,
Yeah.
you'll be together as opposed to, honey, I'm
Yeah.
going to a con. I'll see you in a week to get married.
Well, I'm going
Right.
to push the kids. They're going into Disneyland, and I'm going to go to my Disneyland.
Nice.
That's fair. That's
And,
fair. Still on the trip together.
Although
Yeah.
if your fiance wanted to send you before your wedding to a place where there's guaranteed to be the least amount of pussy on earth, that is actually a safe bet. Like there's no worries. There's nothing. Like he's gonna be all washed in semen. It'll be perfect.
There were quite a few ladies at the Rose City.
Yeah, it depends on the type
None that
of
want to
con.
talk to us.
If there's actors and there's like cosplaying, there's usually tons of girls. They're just not in the comic booth.
Trying to change the subject. There was a question from Richard in the chat around cons in Australia. So yes, there are. I don't know about New Zealand, but we have Supernova over here and various other. I can't remember the other title. So
Big
That
B,
was,
how many?
back in the day, I used to be an exhibitor and do artwork at shows, and so I did that a lot. Recently, I just this last year, it was the first time in a long time, so I went to Rose City and Frankenstein and had a great time. And that's what Bueller was saying: don't go to Rose City, you get stuck outside Red Robin. That was me and Bueller and like a whole bunch of YouTubers hooked up at Red Robin and spent 3 hours talking.
I mean, that's what this con in is going to be. It's just going to be. We're all going to have like no voices at the end of it.
Right.
Seriously,
Right.
4 days of just nonstop talking about comics. And
Speaking of Bueller, he's got the thing. I don't know if you guys saw on IG. He's trying to make people aware of the keep Gen reading thing for the comic community YouTuber who's struggling with cancer, and for all this month on all of his comic sales that are on his thing, he's donating his percentage to Jen. So if you guys, or if you want to make a donation, hit up Bueller. Or look at his stuff on IG. You'll find out how.
Does she still have a GoFundMe going?
She does still have the GoFundMe going, and yeah, he just did a video today. He's like, just because it's a new year doesn't mean that went away, and we kind of, we all did great trying to help her out last year, but she's still fighting that. So,
did that somebody was doing a raffle for her?
Yeah, that never went off. He was like 3 people short to do the raffle.
Oh,
yeah, for the Teen Titans book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people were to get like 20 people to donate $20, and we got like 17, and the other 3 people never donated, so it never went off.
Interesting. Bueller mentioned MegaCon. I hear MegaCon's like a big con for a lot of content people to meet up at too. Is that out in Florida?
Orlando.
MegaCon, I think, yes, in Florida, I believe. Yeah.
It's another show I've like thought about going. I thought it'd be a great way to break up the winter. Be kind of a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I could see myself going to MegaCon. Probably not this year, but in the future, that would be a fun trip to go to.
No, I'm only going to go to one show this year because I want to live that fantasy that I've never got to live, of just like walking in with like a whole band and just like, you know what I mean? Like 10 grand and just like picking something crazy and negotiating at that level would just be so much fun. I love.
He's gonna follow Ricky because the money's gonna be falling out of his pockets.
Right. Here's the question, Ricky. Like, how are you not gonna pull the trigger on the first day? Like, are you gonna have the patience to go all weekend and wait till Sunday, try to get a better deal, or are you just gonna be?
No, so here's the thing. This is my negotiating style, and this is absolutely true. This is what I do. My friends used to have me do it at the horror cons. Like, I want to buy that Jason statue, and I'm like, okay, what do you want to pay? I tell you very firmly what I would pay for it, and then they go, well, meet me at like 200 more, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm telling you what I would pay. If you want to make that much money, I'll hand it to you in cash. It's that simple. but like there really isn't any back and forth. I'm telling you what I'm willing to pay. And from that position, usually that's where you can like, they're like, well, I can't go any lower than this. And I'm like, well, and then I can find out what the real number they're willing to take is. But I usually go very low in the beginning. So I know what the values are. That's the thing. Like the internet has changed the game in terms of negotiating at conventions. If I see a 3.0 Adventure 247, the first Legion of Superheroes, I want that book really bad. I know that book is $1,000 a grade point, roughly. So if I see the guy charging $4, I know that we're way far away, and I know where I need to tenderize him. But like, I mean, I've definitely pulled up books on eBay in front of a seller before, and I'm like, look, I'll buy it right now if you don't want to sell it to me for that price. And they're like, okay, I'll buy it.
The internet has changed the game. Those guys are going to know you. Oh, I know you got $10,000 in your pocket.
I know, but like it's what I'm saying.
Well, we're all going to be needing to walk around you now to protect you from someone that might try and take that.
Right. What was the few things people have to say, like "What's up, nerd" and "What's up, dork" or something to get the two free
so
books?
I'll redefine the rules, but I'm gonna have a bunch of giveaways on me so that if someone comes up to me and says, give me this thing, then like I've got a 9 point. Yeah, give me that book.
Give me the
nerd,
slabs,
I have a 9.8 slab of Walking Dead that I won at a raffle that I detest. I don't want that book in my life, and so like they can get that one. I've got some like.
You got a Walking Dead one that you won in a raffle?
No. It's like a Walking Dead like 97. It's like a Walking Dead 97 and a 9.8, and it means nothing to me, and it takes up closet space. I'm gonna have a whole bunch of giveaways. So before the con, I'll do a thing to say like a 15-minute video of just here's all the nonsense I'm gonna have on me, and if you come up to me and say the following phrase, you can win it. Probably like I'll probably simplify it. I'll have like 20 things on me. And if someone comes up to me, we'll do it now. Someone comes up to me and goes, "Oh yeah," that I will. Yeah, you can reach into the bag and grab something and you can take it.
It's like Dave from West Coast Avengers. He has his theme song, and anybody that walks up and says "West Coast Avengers," they get something for free from him every time. So
that's cool. Nice. Yeah, or like if you're young enough and you come up and go, "Dad," then I'll give you something. Really sell it, kid. Make people think I want nothing to do with you.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it more to hang out with people. Definitely, as Bueller says, it's about the con after the con, especially with us all staying like in the block. We're all in the same amount of rooms there. And it's a casino. Like, not that I'm a gambler, but I mean, there's lots to do, is my point. It's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward just to hanging out with people.
Oh, they've got a nightclub there.
Oh, it's huge. It's a gigantic resort. So there's a ton of stuff to do.
Bring your bathing suits.
Cigar lounge.
Yep.
Yeah. Bring your swimsuits.
It's going to be, yeah.
We gotta shoot that swimsuit calendar, right?
Yeah. 12 months of Mike.
No, I'll do February and I'll be in a big heavy sweater. It'll be fine.
There'll be one image and I just put it on different like backgrounds, like state spoons.
Right.
Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody showing up tonight. This was really fun. I want to do this again. These are always a good time. If you see a name on here that you haven't subscribed to, everybody here makes good content. Everybody here is good people. I'm not trying to catch smoke, but there are comic book YouTubers on here who they say comic book community every time they say comic community, but like legit, it's kind of like high school. It's what you make of it. And there are some amazing people here, and they're supportive and fun and funny, and some of them even look like Mike, and it's just amazing. So I'll say good night from everybody here. Love you. Bye.